I'm almost embarrassed to tell you this because many of you simply won't believe me, but a most extraordinary thing happened right here in my local swimming club in Colombo, where every day I play table tennis with my partner here, Sarath. And quite recently, he told me an extraordinary thing. Sarath, tell me what it was happened that day.
That day I saw some 4 fish, 4 or 5.
4 or 5 fish?
Fish under this Christmas tree here.
Under this tree?
Yeah.
And were they lying on the ground?
Yeah.
What did you feel when you saw them? What did you think?
I thought they'd come from the rainbow.
I see. You thought the fish might have fallen from the rainbow. Well, it's curious. I have known about this kind of thing for 40 years, but I never dreamt that it would have happened right on my doorstep. I mean, what an extraordinary thing, fish falling from the sky.
It would be about 6:15 in the evening, a summer's evening.
During World War II, Yorkshireman Joe Alpin was stationed with the Artists' Rifles at Alton Towers in Staffordshire.
The sky suddenly darkened, very, very dark indeed, like a thunderstorm. And then the frogs came, millions of them, raining out of the sky. Millions upon millions of frogs. They fell all over us, all over the grass, all over the cars, down the neck of our tunics, on our feet, hands everywhere. And they were very minute things, you know, no bigger than a dice or a small cube of sugar.
And they still were coming from the skies. There were hundreds of them.
My interest in mysteries was first triggered when I read stories of frogs falling from the sky. Fish, grain, cinders, ants, worms, and most remarkable of all, a turtle encased in ice, and even an alligator, which fell on American towns in the 1890s. It's reported by Sir James Emerson Tennant, who wrote an important natural history of Ceylon. He was riding through here when he saw a heavy rainstorm. When he reached the spot, he discovered that the ground was covered with little fish wriggling around.
In 1948, Mr. Ian Patey, a former British amateur golf champion, had just started to play around at the Barton-on-Sea Golf Club on the cliff tops near Bournemouth.
I was playing a mixed match with my wife about 6 o'clock on a June evening, and we were coming down this second fairway, and she was about to play a second shot from just over there. My reaction was one of complete surprise.
As I left the house to go to school that morning, I went through the back of the house, and as I got near the garage, I heard something fall on the tin roof of the garage, and simultaneously something hit me on my head and on my shoulders, and I looked down, there were fish.
I was in bed, not feeling good, and I didn't get up early, but my maid came and early, and she was out in the yard. I was still in bed. And she ran in, excited like everything, and she's a black maid, but that day she was white of excitement. And she came and she told me, she said, Miss Lola, she said, it's raining fishes, it's raining fishes.
When we heard all this noise, you know, when the fish fell on the roof, this tin roof, my maid, whose name was Viola, ran outside with me, and she was so upset, and she kept saying, Lord, Lord. She said, I think it must be the end of the world.
I was coming up this road, I was coming north, was just about a block away, when all of a sudden a fish fell right to my right hand, the left-hand side of the car. I saw the fish.
I told Daddy that that these fish had fallen on me, and he was a little incredulous, I guess, and didn't believe me. And finally I said, well, let's go outside and I'll show them to you.
Why is it always one kind of fish? Why are there no weeds or other objects? Why are deep water fish sometimes involved? Moreover, what comes down must have gone up.
It was on this quiet council estate at Lyndhurst in Hampshire that one such potentially lethal block descended on a hot summer's day in 1980.
First of all, I heard a whooshing sound, rather like you hear when a rocket goes off. And then almost on top of that, there was a loud explosion, as if something had blown up. It's one of these unexplained happenings, I should think. I really don't know where it came from.
Me and my son and his wife, it is now, his girlfriend at that time, were sitting here watching television, the $6 million man to be exact. And the $6 million man had just got up on the roof of a big building and reached over and grabbed a vent or a smokestack or something and give it a yank. And just as he yanked, it sounded like the ceiling all fell in on my house.
We looked up the ceiling and we saw insulation and ice falling down on the floor, which flew all over us.
Well, if it would have been maybe 4 to 5 feet more this direction, I think it probably killed us all.
We learned later that there were several pieces of ice found. One piece fell out in the road out in front of the house, and another piece landed back over the hill in a man's field. But we had no idea where it came from, but it was sure in a hurry to get here.
The only surviving fragment of the ice is now in the custody of Sergeant Butch Hottinger. He's making one final attempt to crack the case.
At this time, I'm taking that ice to a research laboratory to try and find out probably for this last time, where this ice might have came from. Hello.
Hello.
Dr. Knight?
Yes.
Hi. Sergeant Hottinger.
How do you do?
Rockingham County Sheriff's Department.
Oh, pleased to meet you.
With me a specimen from the Timberville ice fall.
Yes, yes. Well, let's see what it looks like.
I'll have you to analyze it there and see if you can help me on it.
How big was the piece that did fall?
The piece that did fall, I'd say it probably was, you know what the size of a basketball is? It's about the size of a basketball.
I see.
So what basically would be your final opinion of the Timberville ice fall?
Basically, from the evidence of the ice itself, the conclusion has to be that we just don't know.
Of course, we know that ice can fall from aircraft. It can form on the wings. It can come, regrettably, from faulty toilets. So what's important are the reports of ice falls long before the era of aircraft. For example, in 1847, a block of ice 20 feet in circumference fell on Scotland.
It landed on Mr. Moffat's farm in Ayrshire.
I really don't know.
I think it very significant that some of these ice falls are accompanied by loud explosions, just like the re-entry bangs of our own returning spacecraft. Cosmic ice.
When we reached this point, there was a click, and I thought that I'd lost a button in my coat. Looking around, we found they were in the middle of a shower of hazelnuts coming from the sky. We cracked some of them open. They were quite fresh and sweet and nice. And when we reached home, we were having a friend of ours to lunch, and he came along and said, the most extraordinary things happened to me. And I said, don't tell me. You've been covered with a shower of hazelnuts. He said, yes, how did you find out?
Well, I was in this conservatory, pricking out seeds, and I heard this whooshing sound, which was on the glass above me.
Broad bean seed. Well, this is bloody silly.
Down come a shower of peas and maize, haricot beans. By then, of course, we were all getting rather excited about it. It was still snowing, it was still gusting, and we couldn't make head or tail of it.
I was on the telephone one day, which is situated near the front door, and my son came along and opened the front door for some reason, and a shower of broad beans came through. I should think dozens and dozens of them, and really quite startled me, because I gave a little cry, and my friend on the other end of the phone said to me, what's the matter? And I said, oh, I've just been hit by a lot of beans.
It was almost unbelievable. The beans grew, the peas grew, yes. Well, everything, in fact, grew, and I believe Mrs. Gale has already sent some up the Midlands, and they've yes. made a very good crop.
Next week, UFO.